Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, or simply The Covenant, is a 2023 American action thriller film co-written, produced and directed by Guy Ritchie. The film stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Dar Salim. Its plot follows a former U.S. Army Special Operations Sergeant and Afghanistan War veteran, John Kinley, who returns to the country to rescue the interpreter who once saved his life from the Taliban. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant was theatrically released in the United States on April 21, 2023, by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Pictures. The film received generally positive reviews from critics and has grossed $16 million. Jake Gyllenhaal as Master Sergeant John Kinley. Dar Salim as Ahmed. Sean Sagar as Charlie Jizzy Crow. Jason Wong as Joshua J.J. Young. Reese Yates as Tom Cat Hancock. Christian Ochoa Lavernia as Eduardo Chow Lopez. Bobby Schofield as Steve Kirscher. Emily Beecham as Caroline Kinley. Johnny Lee Miller as Colonel Vokes. Alexander Ludwig as Sergeant Declan O'Brady. Reza Diaco as Haydee. James Nelson Joyce as Jack Jackson. Anthony Starr as Eddie Parker. In March 2018, amidst the war in Afghanistan, U.S. Army Sergeant John Kinley and his unit is ambushed by a lorry bomb attack orchestrated by the Taliban during a routine vehicle inspection at Lashkargah, which claims the life of his interpreter. In need of a replacement, he is introduced to Ahmed Abdullah, a steadfast yet disliked interpreter, who claims he pursues the job only for money. During an undercover capture mission, Kinley learns that Ahmed was previously affiliated with the Taliban, but had defected when the organization murdered his son. Ahmed later saves Kinley's team from being ambushed by a Talibani unit aided by a compromised Afghan army soldier, earning Kinley's respect. During another raid to check for a possible insurgent arms cache about 100 clicks, 62 miles, north of the Bagram airbase, Kinley's unit is ambushed by Talibani reinforcements, which kills everyone except for him and Ahmed. The duo manage to escape on foot, killing several Talibani fighters in the process. Whilst attempting to return to the airbase by navigating through the mountainous Afghan terrain, they are once again ambushed by insurgents, who manage to shoot Kinley in the arm, before delivering a massive bludgeon to his forehead, incapacitating him. However, Ahmed stages a counterattack and manages to kill the insurgents. Wanting to save the immobilized Kinley, he resolves to take him back to the airbase. Receiving the assistance of several sympathetic Afghans, whilst evading the radar of the now vengeful Taliban, Ahmed lugs Kinley through the country's treacherous topography over the course of several days and manages to reach the vicinity of the base. Before being attacked again by the Taliban units, he kills them, but is apprehended by U.S. troops. 3 weeks later, Kinley, having been repatriated to his home in Los Angeles, is stupendously unaware of how he was saved, but understands Ahmed's role in it. Learning that their now publicly known escapade had created anger amidst the Taliban, which has put Ahmed, who has moved underground, on their most wanted list, Kinley attempts in vain to procure U.S. visas for Ahmed and his family to get them to safety. Emotionally tormented by his inability to repay his indebtedness towards Ahmed, he finally resolves to save him himself, enlisting the assistance of Colonel Vokes to procure the visas in return for allowing him to return to locate Ahmed. Returning to Afghanistan under the identity of one Ron K., Kinley meets with Parker, a private military contractor, who promises to provide support on the condition that the former locates Ahmed first. Parker arranges a rendezvous with Ahmed's brother Ali, who manages to smuggle Kinley across Taliban-controlled territory. In the process, he kills several insurgents after being nearly caught at a road checkpoint, which inadvertently alerts the Taliban. Elsewhere, Vokes informs Kinley that the visas have been processed and are now in Parker's hands. Finally arriving at Ahmed's hideout, Kinley persuades him and his family into accompanying him to the U.S., which he agrees to. Simultaneously, Parker decrypts Kinley's true identity. Realizing the duo's value to the Taliban, he arranges for an AC-130 gunship to provide reinforcements. Concurrently, insurgent units mount an attack on Kinley, who manages to escape with Ahmed's family to the nearby Duranta Dam. Cornered by approaching Talibani units, the duo engage them in a protracted gunfight, which ends with them running out of ammunition. Just as they are about to resign to their fate, the AC-130 arrives, which decimates the remaining Talibani fighters. With the threat neutralized, Parker arrives with additional reinforcements, He openly declares that he would have wholeheartedly supported Kinley's mission had he not lied to him about his identity. Escorted back to Bagram, the group boards an airlift leaving Afghanistan. With their perils finally behind them, Ahmed and Kinley simply nod at each other on the airplane. The film's ending monologue reveals that in the aftermath of the Taliban's recapture of Afghanistan, over 300 Afghan interpreters affiliated with the U.S. military were murdered by the organization, with thousands more still in hiding. Some of the audience reviews about the film are as follows: "This movie had its hook in me. Captivating, brutal in its truths, moving. Best film I've seen in a while. I'm a fan of a few other Guy Ritchie movies, my favorites being The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Sherlock Holmes. This film is very different in that it is serious in tone, realistic, not whimsical at all. Yet, there is a subtle stamp of creative intentionality woven into the directing and cinematography that elevated this. It's risky to put your name on a film, but he chose a great one. Gyllenhaal and Dar Salim were incredible. The directing plus acting of the main characters together work so well. Many of the greatest moments are sans dialogue, and some lines really stand out as well, the quoted one above being part of several pieces of dialogue or monologue that are enrapturing. If I were to deliberate over watching it again, this is what would encourage me to. The action shots are great and fairly realistic, but what sets apart this film from other war movies is that it isn't just another war movie. It may still be U.S.-centric in its main character and POV, but The Covenant does a good job at honoring the local interpreters who risked their and their families' lives to help those fighting the Taliban. A lot of the dialogue is in Afghani languages, maybe Dari or Pashto, showing just how out of water the U.S. soldiers are. A couple enlightening Afghan cultural elements are included, which I appreciated. Tying in history to this fictional story are the on-screen notes at the beginning of the film about the start of the war and the involvement of interpreters, and the notes at the end of the film about the 2021 U.S. withdrawal and the subsequent killings of many former interpreters by the Taliban. This is recent history. Then there are the real photos of soldiers and interpreters together during the credits that shouldn't be missed, some of their faces obscured for safety reasons. Well. What a movie, keeps you on the edge of the seat. WHWT, an amazing experience. It's perfect, one of Guy Ritchie's best, and Jake Gyllenhaal is a perfect choice for it. Surely isn't getting the recognition it deserves. From so many same war movies, which aren't bad of course, this was something fresh and perfectly made. Would definitely be in my list of movies to be rewatched. The action, sound, locations all are top-notch and keeps you wanting more and more. I'm so glad I had a good feeling about it from the trailer. Jake Gyllenhaal and The Covenant both deserve much more recognition. Great job. We'll watch again. In the United States and Canada, The Covenant was released alongside Evil Dead Rise, Chevalier, and the wide expansion of Beau is Afraid, and was projected to gross around $6 million from 2,611 theaters in its opening weekend. The film made $2.2 million on its first day, and went on to debut to $6.3 million, finishing third behind the Super Mario Bros. Movie and Evil Dead Rise. In its second weekend, the film made $3.6 million, a drop of 43%, finishing in ninth. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 83% of 98 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of June 8, 10. The website's consensus reads, a satisfying, well-acted war thriller with surprising dramatic depths. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant tells a solid story with impressive restraint. Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 63 out of 100, based on 27 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. 16 audiences surveyed by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A on an A+ to F scale, while those polled by PostTrack gave it a 92% positive score, with 77% saying they would recommend it. What do you think about the movie? Don't forget to leave it in the comment section. Goodbye and see you again.